Hero Club presents Los Ingobernables de Tokusatsu.
Hello and welcome to an all-new episode of Los Ingobernables de Tokusatsu, and this is our 30th episode. However, it's not going to be the legit review of the Space Squad movies due to the fact that Janitor Joker, Mucha, has gotten a job, so our time schedules do not match. There's no way to record. However, replacing him as, one of his full-time hosts is going to be Soundout 12. Projekt RDM is not joining us today. It's just going to be me and Soundout with a guest host. And so, Soundout, say your hello.
Hello. I am the replacement.
Yes, he's now technically our third host, in a sense, of the main co-hosts. And joining us tonight is probably someone that, people have heard before on previous podcasts that we've hosted in other iterations and so on and so forth, or they've seen his previous work on Ranger Reviews on YouTube with that guy Archer. It is DecaBlue25.
Yo.
Alright, so
what's up, people?
We brought on Deca because later on in this episode we're actually going to be talking about a bit of the weird, kind of Bandai controversy, I guess would be a nice way to say it, because there's this weird thing going on where we're getting information from Bandai about stuff that's going on, and it's either not misinformation from Bandai, but it's a way of lost in translation between Bandai and the fandom, and the shit's just going above people's heads. And we're going to be talking a little bit more about issues with the fandom, issues with with actual Bandai and collecting as a whole. However, since we haven't really done an episode in almost a month, due to how episodes are recorded and edited and uploaded, we're going to just talk about a few little bits of news that have happened in the previous weeks. So, first off, we're going to be talking about the fact that Section 23 Films is announcing that Garo, Kiba, the Dark Knight, the Gaiden, the V Cinema.
It's a V Cinema. It is the Kiba Gaiden, as is also known as Kiba Gaiden, but it's officially the Kiba the Dark Knight V Cinema. It's being released as Garo Kiba in North America.
I think in North America they took out the whole fact that it's a Gaiden. So
they took out Gaiden, they took out the Dark Knight. It's just Kiba, Garo Kiba.
Yeah, it's going to be a Blu-ray release releasing this coming February. And the fact is, I'm pretty sure most of us here either haven't seen it or haven't finished watching it. I know I started watching it a long time ago, and I didn't enjoy it, and I just haven't gone back to rewatch it.
For me, it's a Blu-ray that's currently on pre-order from Right Stuff for $12.99, so I'm sold. It's inexpensive enough. I'm just yeah, okay, sure.
I need to actually get into the series on that. I've been meaning to.
Alright, our next two pieces of news are just basic Tamashii Webshop exclusive figure arts. First off, we found out that Ultraman Orb Thunder Breaster is the next premium Bandai Webshop exclusive for Ultraman Orb related figure arts. Now, honestly, some of us did not expect that to be an exclusive. However, due to Jugless Juggler being exclusive, few people like myself already think that all of the other forms that are not Space Gems, Aperion, or Orb Origin are going up there. This version of Orb is going to be priced at 6,480 yen. Since it's Thunder Breaster, one can expect it to be a wonderful, weirdly designed, buffed out version of Orb featuring Zophie and Belial's design. It has a few accessories, and most likely it will not be distributed to North America through Bluefin Tamashii, so you may have to go to online web shops that provide second-hand services or have a middleman do that for you. In addition, Bandai recently teased that they're going to be releasing a freaking SH Monster Arts Godzilla 2002 edition from Godzilla Against Mechagodzilla and Godzilla Tokyo SOS. And the way they kind of started teasing it is they had the prototype displayed with the lead actress of Godzilla Against Mechagodzilla. And it was pretty cool because, everyone loves her. She's waifu material. And it's just great. So, anyone have anything to say about those two, figure arts, or I should say just SH, items coming out of premium Bandai probably? Tamashii figures, we're all fucked, right?
That Godzilla is interesting. If they do a Kiryu reissue, though, I'd be interested in that.
I think they're gonna have to.
I'm just they might. I mean, Tamashii does do releases sometimes. Also, as I add a note, Bandai Japan Tamashii Web does actually reissue older figure arts as lotteries. I just found out recently, about a month or two ago, that a lot of the Tamashi stuff like Android 18, 17, Broly, some of the old SH arts from like Kamen Rider Blade, Broken Head version, Jack Form, King Form. Japan does, I guess, do a small reissue, but the only difference is the lotteries. So that means that if you're a friend or you have a middleman that has a lottery, you can enter it, but it's a lottery. So you may not get a chance to win. So that's something that I found interesting. For Godzilla, interesting to see that they're making one. It's been a while since we had a monster arts anyway.
Yeah, what is it? The last technical monster art we got was the one that's coming out this December for the Godzilla anime, but the last one we've gotten that may be a web shop exclusive was like a while ago, with it being like a brand new mold. Because like it's not known if this is going to be a retail one, but people expect this to be maybe an exclusive due to the fact that not many Godzilla like variations do get released in the retail line unless they're the Heisei version. Because we've had the regular first release of the Heisei Godzilla, we had the 95 version release, and we also had the Burning, 95 release. Yes. So we've had at least 3 different Heisei molds, and we've only had like 2 other variations at retail, which one was the 54, the Shin, and Anime Godzilla, and Legendary at retail. So I'm guessing that this is going to be an exclusive like the 64 Godzilla, most likely. It could or couldn't.
Usually, if it's a Tamashi web, Bluefin might have a chance. Tamashi Nation.
Bluefin Tamashi normally gets the rights to most monster arts. I think they only were never able to get like one of the monster arts, and that's about it.
Like, it has to do, I think, with the licensing of the movie, depending if it's Toho or it's Legendary or it's anime or whatever it is.
Yeah, because they weren't allowed to get Shin Godzilla originally in North America.
Yeah, that was. I think because the film hadn't been fully licensed in America even.
Yeah, and the final item that, we got to talk about is that really interesting news that people did not see coming. Because freaking a Japanese publisher and distributor known as Phase 6, which helps distribute like IDW comics and a few other comics to Japan, is going to be publishing a freaking Redman comic, which is a Tsuburaya Tokusatsu series that was on in the 70s, and it's going to be written and drawn by IDW artist Matt Frank, who's best known for doing several of the Godzilla titles for IDW. And the way that it ended up happening was the fact that freaking Phase 6's owner, Andrew Hall, like the head of the company, was watching Tsuburaya's YouTube channel, saw the Redman clips, approached them about doing like a one-off tribute, and they're like, oh no, we'll give you like a mini-series or an actual full-length like comic run. And then the first guy that he thought to ask to do this production was Matt. And the funny thing about it was, at the time of this news coming out, the first thing I thought was, well, I know Matt, so let me go ask Matt about more information, because all we had originally was just the tweet saying, hey guys, this is the new project coming. And I was like, wow, can I get more information? He was like, hells yeah. And bam, next thing you know, we became a source to other people's news. So yeah, so guys, what's your entire thoughts about the fact that we're getting a freaking Tokusatsu series comic being produced? And the funny thing is, it's from a little known Toku series produced by Tsuburaya. Like, not many people know it, and if they do know it, it's only because of the reuse of several Ultra suits that were used as Redman's villains.
I feel like hopefully it does good, but like I said, it's a small Tokusatsu series that most people won't know about, so I'm kind of debating to see what will happen. I'm really curious to see how it's going to affect.
The interesting thing is Redman's only popular to that niche, I would say, Daikaiju crowd. Like, if you're an Ultraman or just a Tsuburaya fanboy, so like you watch, the basic Showa Godzilla films or all Godzilla films and Ultraman, you're going to know about it. But for like I would say
newbies.
I wouldn't say the newbies, but I'd say the modern age Power Ranger Sentai writer fan, they're like going to be completely clueless to this. Because I remember throwing this around in some Facebook groups, and they were like, what is this Power Ranger knockoff? What is this Kamen Rider knockoff? I'm like, no, this is this is like a freaking alternate Ultraman knockoff made by the guys who made Ultraman. Because like when I first saw Redman, I literally thought it was like a parody, and not realizing it was like an official production. So the fact that it's getting a comeback due to its kind of cult popularity through like the YouTube, syndication stream is interesting nevertheless. So, I guess now's that time for us to have like this really weird, elongated, probably 40-minute discussion, knowing us, when it comes to Bandai and the ludicrous stuff that goes on. So, Deca, why don't you explain the reasoning why you actually asked me to host this podcast with you, myself, and whoever else wanted to be on it, which was SoundOut 12, obviously, about talking about Power Ranger collecting, Bandai, and the fandom at large. So, get everyone up to date for those who may have forgotten, may or not even known.
So Bandai America said about a couple days or a week after Comic-Con that they were gonna shorten supply of the lady figures in Power Rangers in the current series Ninja Steel, per se, for example. Also, they said that the legacy figures, we were supposed to get certain figures, but then they got pushed back, and a lot of things happened. So let's start with the legacy figures. I know that people have noticed that now there's people saying, "Oh, legacy Ninja Steel figures." I'm interested in that. Surprising. It was out of the boat, shocking. But nonetheless, it's interesting to see. I understand that Bandai wants to cater to the younger generation of kids, even though the legacy line is supposedly for adults and collectors. But it's interesting to see something that's current, not something like MMPR, for say, or Ninja Steel. SPD, Overdrive, some of the older series. It's something that's recent, which is something that I'm pretty shocked of, which I'm pretty sure you're like, what the heck did they just do to Bandai? Also, of course, the shortening of girl figures. Now, this is a double-edged sword, and I know you can agree with me.
Yeah, it's a huge double-edged sword, especially if you know where I live, which Deca does know where I live, where shit gets scalped as soon as it comes out.
So, if everyone has noticed, every time you go to like Toys R Us, Walmart, Target, anywhere you always see pegs of figures. And then when you look at all of them, they're always yellow. There's always pink and white, which are the two girls in the current series of Ninja Steel. Now, this is double-edged sword because back in, was it Dino Charge and
Samurai.
Super Mega, around the Samurai, Super Mega Force,
Samurai, yeah, from Samurai to now, as well as Bandai America's like later runs of the Disney lines.
Yeah, we've only seen like maybe the cases have always been like one female. If there's two females, it would be one of each of them, and then like two blues, two blacks, two reds, or like one black, one red, and two blues. Like the case of assortments are always different.
Yeah, by the way, if anyone's wondering if you hear crashing sounds, it's just gravity striking SoundOut's bedroom as always.
Yeah, guess what happened this time?
You knocked down the entire Gundam shelf.
No, it's worse. I had a figure from the top shelf of my second DC bookcase fall off, bounce off the carpet, and bounce into another shelf, which happened to be DC Collectibles' horribly balanced animated series figures, and took them all down.
Oh, congratulations. DC must love you. So, as you know, Wheelz, every time I'm at Comic-Con or at PMC, I've always talked to Bandai just to see what's the latest scoop of everything. So, for figures, it's not surprising that we get a cut on the girls, and as you know, I always tell you, I see girls at every freaking place I go to.
I know, and it's funny, because, like, I will see some girls, but I don't see the amount that, say, you see for living near, the high-populated city area of New York. I live in upper state, so what I see is, like, one or two figures, or not even the female colors. I see, like, just MMPR white, or, like, a random, in space, like, Red Ranger. Or maybe, like, one scarce, if I'm in Toys R Us, like, maybe some of the movie figures. But I don't see anything new or any of the girls that everyone says is, like, clogging up their shelves in California, clogging up their shelves in Texas.
Well, there is nothing new for Legacy. There hasn't been a full brand new wave since March. The only thing in the meantime has been Metallic Rangers.
Well, we'll talk. Well, the Legacy line, we'll talk about that a little bit more. But for the girl-wise, it's a double-edged sword because back when Greg was still at Bandai, which I still talk to the man to this day. He's in another company now, guys. If you haven't noticed, he did not get fired because of the Silver Belt issue with the Wave 2 of the Legacy line. He did not do that. Nothing that he did at Bandai caused him to get fired. He left on his own terms, and he had his reasons too, and I'm perfectly fine with what he did for the fandom the past years he was at Bandai. And the guy's still awesome as always. I still talk with him. I saw him at Comic Con. If people were at New York Comic Con, I was able to hang out with him and talk with him about life and stuff. He did say that he did not want to leave. I was actually one of the couple of people he actually messaged when I found out that he was leaving the company. He did not want to leave the company. He loved Power Rangers.
I remember, I think you gave me tips that he was probably going to dip before he actually said it, because I remember the day that the news broke, I was completely okay with it, because I think you had already warned me in advance through a text message, because either he would tell you to tell me, or you would just tell me, or he would actually message me, because I was also on his message lists.
It was gonna tell publicly that he was leaving, but I found out about I think a week before he was leaving, and I just I kind of was like, this is gonna suck really, really hard.
It still sucks really, really hard because of the bullshit great ideas we heard were gonna happen if he's still staying.
So what happened with doing the Super Megaforce line and the Dino Charge line? Every time I would see Greg, I'd be like, hey Greg, maybe you should do something with the fans a little bit. So when the fandom does ask for more female figures, which I told them we definitely do, because if you guys remember Super Megaforce Yellow and Pink, they were a pain to get in the beginning of the wave. You always saw green, blues, and reds, but pink and yellow was only one per case.
Remember when the Megaforce and the actual samurai figures were going $40 per the females? Or $50 per female?
I never saw Super Megaforce Yellow in stores.
See, exactly. That's exactly why.
From wanting to buy the entire Super Megaforce team in that line.
So the only way people actually bought if people didn't want to spend $40, they would have to buy that $60 Toys R Us set that had all 5 of the Rangers and Prince Vicar in it, which wasn't a bad deal if you really couldn't find pink and yellow, which obviously is acceptable because they were one per case. So of course the fandom and everyone, Toku Nation, Power Rangers Now, MMPR Toys, we always gave feedback to Bandai and Greg, and make more female figures and make more villains, which is a good thing because back in the days, same thing with villains. Back in the days, villains sold, but they weren't on par with say Tommy or Jason and Zach and Billy or Trini and Kimberly. People back in the days, they didn't care about villains. That's why we don't see a lot of villain figures until now.
Yeah, the problem was we took I think as kids when the first wave of villains came out, they were releasing a lot of the more random monsters of the week rather than the more actual straight on iconic monsters of the week, the ones that either appeared more than 1 or 2 episodes, maybe ones that appeared in big pivotal roles. So it was why get these weird, crappy gimmick figures back in MMPR, and then they would just make the main generals and the main villains, and we wouldn't get anything else. So when they finally started giving us that chance in, freaking Dino Charge, we were, elated, but the problem also was the double-edged sword of, hey, we also have to break them up in, small assortments, and we gotta make sure that, we put X amount here and X amount there.
Well, with Dino Charge, they released 10 villains across 2 waves, which hit stores within a month.
And also, when the Dino Supercharge line came out, they actually reissued some of the older figures. Say it was a Lakiro and the Bones and what's the other guy's name?
They released Sledge.
They did, yeah. Sledge and Fury got reissued.
The sad part was those reissues also stopped them from finishing a lot of the villain characters that they intended to make, and then they never got to make.
Well, there's certain characters that there's a lot of things that we wanted, but not everything could have been perfect, which I totally understand. But it was thanks to the fans and of course us talking to everyone that hey, figures do sell and villains are great. And Dino Charge was a big thing where we got female figures, we got male figures, we got villains, we got foot soldiers, we got pretty much the whole 9 yards in terms of figures. There were a few figures that they did announce that weren't really made, but it's whatever. We still got what we got, which I'm really glad they did.
And we did get Poisandra after the line too.
Yes, so Poisandra, there's a story about that one. I think it was doing PMC. It was PMC on NYCC. Greg did tell me that after so many people asked for Poisandra for like God knows how long that thing took, but I did talk to Greg, and Greg said that they were making a Poisandra figure. I think this was before they actually announced it. Like I think,
Yeah, no, it was at New York Toy Fair. You were talking to him, and like he was like even saying to you as a joke, like he was getting tired of people asking for Poisandra, and so like I remember you said that you bumped into him before the panel, and you had texted me before the panel. So like
all
I,
right,
because remember you found out from Greg before him and MMPR Toys sent it to the regular guys in general.
yes, yes.
Either he told you before the convention even happened, and then he told you yet again when the convention did happen. Because I remember you would message me and be like, "Yo, don't share this with Darkon. This is between us." And I'm like, "Yeah," because I know Darkon will report this before they even show it at the con, and we'll look like idiots. And he's like, "Yeah,
it was PMC last
yeah,
year.
because you would tell me shit in advance to tell Darkon to be ready as soon as the images go live. Have something like drafted, but don't publish a lot of the news. Just be ready when the okay was to go live."
Greg did tell me, yeah, it was a PMC last year that when they did the panel with Bruno and Mia. Of course, Bruno and Mia already knew about everything. But they know more because
my favorite though is like how we would know just about the same as them, and other people would be like, "How do you guys know this?" And we're like,
Greg did say,
tells people.
Greg did give me a download that they will review a lot of things, and one of them was that Poisandra was going to be made finally after Dino Charge it was near the end, but I'm still grateful that we got a Poisandra figure. And
I still love the one though when we did the interview with him that I don't think Oga ever published. It was the interview where like we asked him about other figures and like, "Oh yeah, we're probably gonna find a way to sneak the villains we haven't made for like the main villains or reoccurring villains in Dino Charge, possibly into the Ninja Steel toy line or like first assortment wave." But then I guess that got nixed or some bullshit.
yeah, and of course, it's great that Greg did really well for Dino Charge. Dino Charge, I think, was one of the best toy lines we've had in
Yeah,
a
it was
long
probably
time.
one of the more solid ones that I've ever bought in the last few years. Because I even bought the Zords, I bought the figures. Like I rarely
I bought almost
go all
every
everything.
figure except for like the Dino Super Drive figures.
Like here's the
But
thing, I think one of the things that ruins the fact of like women like clogging the shelves is the fact that we have the Megazord forms.
that too.
Like I think they need to start realizing we don't need those.
I really it's a double-edged sword because we did ask for more female figures in ways, and we did ask for more villains. But Ninja Steel is also a part where it's like, hey guys, we gave you everything, but they're still sitting on shelves. So that's why there's a reason why we haven't seen a lot of. I know that some places did get like newer waves in, but some places don't. Is because how distribution works is that if a store orders, okay, we have 10 cases for you guys, we'll give you 10 cases, and like a case has like what 12 figures inside, probably around like 6 to 12
It's usually
figures.
12 to 24.
12 to 24 figures. So split that across 5 to 6 characters in one. Well, actually, no. In Ninja Steel would be 7 characters. So it would be like maybe 2 of each character, like maybe 1 of the villains, or 1 foot soldier, and like 3 red, 3 blue, 3 yellow, 2 pink, 2 white. It's like all those things. Okay, great. They start selling in the beginning, but then once everyone has them, they just sit there. And we can ask a guy at Walmart, hey, do you guys have any more figures in the back? I'm looking for this character. They can check, and they're like, yeah, we have it. And boom, they pull it out, but then it's just white and pink. I actually had that incident happen when the original Legacy, the triangular boxes of the Power Ranger figures came out. So this is when PMC just happened back in 2014, when the triangular boxes came out. And me and my buddies, we were like pretty much like 10% of people that were from like the East Coast, and we were all from New York. So we drove around to like 2 Toys R Us's in Pasadena looking for Legacy figures. So we asked a girl if we had, because it was Lord Zed, red, armored, green, and I think white was the first wave. And they just came on California like, yo, we gotta check it out because New York hasn't really hit the shelf. So we get there, and the lady radios the backstock to pull out a box. Look and behold, the whole box was all Lord Zeds. Like, there were Lord Zeds sitting, like 10 Lord Zeds on the shelf. We're like, do we have any more? Like, oh, we can check. Boom, a whole box of Lord Zeds. Same thing can happen right now, where if we can go to a Target and Walmart. Hey, do you guys have this figure in stock? And it shows yes. They be like, oh, we can take it up for you and check which one you're looking for. We can see pretty much a whole box of just white and pinks. And the reason why we don't see it is that because retailers are sitting on them for like, months now. So if say like the last wave was like April or May, like they came out with a new wave, and now we have newer waves, but they're only in certain stores, is because that retailer still has like maybe a couple boxes of just pink and white sitting there. And like they said, if you want more stuff to come out, we have to buy what's left over. And certain places you do see a lot of white and pinks, which is kind of sadly.
Yeah, like that's the thing I really do gotta say I hate though. Like when it comes to the retail and the legacy line is that like they expect you to re-buy it, and it's like you can't force people to buy it. It's like I get like why you need to have chaser figures in certain ways, but I feel like when you don't have enough of a distribution in general, you need to find ways to make it more accommodating then, so at least the people who do want the items can get it.
Yeah,
which is why like I kind of agree. Like I think we're gonna be talking about this idea more about maybe Bandai America needs to start considering doing like a Bandai like Tamashii thing for American fans.
They really need to do a web shop of some kind, because I think the biggest issue here is we get Bandai saying, okay guys, support the line, buy the figures, and there'll be more figures. And then all the Power Rangers fans that are hardcore about supporting the line go and buy all the figures, but then what do they do when there's still figures? Like, if I go out and buy every single, like, legacy figure release at retail, like I buy one of every figure, and there's still stock around because my area only has, like, 3 or 4 hardcore Power Ranger collectors, I can't help anymore. I cannot just buy up a bunch of extra back stock there just to get new figures. That the idea that it's my fault my stores don't have more toys is kind of something that doesn't sit well with me, because I have done my part. I have bought the figures, but it is got to be other forces outside of that got to get new stuff to stores.
The thing it's tough because there are certain places that don't get legacy figures, or they don't get certain waves of figures. Like I remember back in Super Mega Force, I didn't see any of the Legacy Ranger waves until like about mid November to like late December, when people like in other states already like had it. Like people in Jersey were like finding Red Rangers, the Gold Ranger, the Green Rangers, and I'm like,
yeah, I found none of the Legendary Ranger figures for Super Mega Force in my stores until Black Friday, where I found all the waves of it suddenly showed up at all my stores.
Yeah, for me it was one of my friends that's also a Power Rangers fan. He wanted the Gold Ranger the most, and I think it was Titanium Ranger. Now, here's the weird part is that I was searching high and low. Like I went to Target's, Toys R Us's. They all had was wave 2 of the Super Mega Force line. They had the first wave where it was like SPD Red, Mystic Force Red, and like Dino Thunder Red. They still had a couple of those. Now, mind you, after Super Mega Force ended, Dino Thunder Red was the most expensive Red Ranger to buy on the
I never found one at retail, and I had to get one imported from a Japanese shop, like overseas Japanese shop, to get one.
Yeah, because price for him was like I think $150 after Super Mega was ended, and then like I randomly went to a Dwayne Reed, which is like out of nowhere. I was with my girlfriend and my friends. Where do we go? We went somewhere, and I'm like, let me go check Dwayne Reed. They're like, why the hell do you need a Dwayne Reed? There's nothing. And I'm like, there's a toy there I don't want to check. And behold, the Gold Ranger and the Titanium Ranger was at a freaking Dwayne Reed in the city. I'm like, holy crap, what the hell is happening to this area? And then later on is when they start showing up in retail stores in New York City, which is a good thing and a bad thing, but distribution is always one of the key points where I also talk to Greg about back in the early days when he was still with Bandai, because I know that there were certain people online that were like, I can't find, Dino Chargers Wave 2, or I couldn't find Wave 1 of the Dino Chargers. There's certain things that distribution have
I was gonna
issues
say,
with.
Deca, you remember the great one that had you losing your shit originally?
Which one was that
When
one?
I told you we didn't have any of like the triangular box figures at all in my stores for like months.
Yes.
We never got even the stock. Or when I told you about how they literally skipped over regular Legacy Megazord during its reissue, or in general, I think when they stocked it, they skipped over the Thunder Megazord for a long ass time, and then they just magically stocked it. They didn't bring in the Ninja Megazord for like they skipped over a majority of the Megazord figures for the Legacy line, and they just kept morphers. They never like really stocked any of them. And then the one that really had you really losing your shit was the really short pack Titano Charge Megazord, where it was still very short packed, but allegedly they said, oh, we were going to establish and make sure that everyone got it. And even then, when your stores got it and other stores got it, the stores around me still didn't get it, and you were still wondering what the hell happened. Because I remember, what was it? I sent you photos of my store, and then you sent them to Greg, and Greg is like, "This is impossible." And then, like, what was it? Greg found out that like most of the stores were getting rerouted, like their shipments were getting rerouted to, what was it, Buffalo and New York City, because those were the ones that were selling the most. So they were taking stock from the other stores or something like that.
All I know is that I remember talking to Greg about distribution, because I know that beside you, there were other people online that were like having issues finding like certain things, like the limited edition Dino Charge Megazord, or like the Plesiozord, like certain like it was weird how the distribution works. But like I did tell Greg about distribution issues that we had with a lot of things, like a lot of things that just because like people, whatever people post online, I also tell people, okay, let's see what happens. And Greg did a really good job trying to put as much distribution as possible with that. And he did a really good job with just maintaining a lot of things. And of course, with the fans, he always asks fans about things and opinions, which is really, really good. That made what the Legacy line was supposed to be, and what made fans really dive into the Legacy lines, because there was a lot of people involved in it, and there's a lot of fans that supported it. Now Ninja Steel, it's a good thing that they're cutting back on the girls, even though that people will say why they should, is because, one, if you own a retail store and you bought 10 cases of say Ninja Steel assortment wave A, you sell through maybe half of it, and you have another half left, but they're all just white and pinks. Would you really spend more money and tell Bandai, hey, I need more of these cases, but I need a different case? You're pretty much losing money at that time if you're not going to be able to sell the other half of just white and pinks.
Now, here's the thing. Do you think, though, that also figures aren't selling not just because of gender, but as we've also argued, the fact that they don't want to give, like, a good accessory count or work on fixing their mistakes with the actual build-a-figures at hand?
It's really hard to say, because as I have the Ninja Steel figures, the girls are really good. Like, I'm really surprised how well they did. As weapon accessories and all that, I'm okay with what they have, but we maybe could have gotten a little bit, maybe something extra.
I'm talking
but
more about like the Legacy line, like one of the things that's killing the
But also,
Legacy
I think
line.
Ninja Steel's accessory count is an issue too.
Well, yeah, accessory counts has
Every
always been
figure
an
in
issue.
Dino Charge had two. Every Ranger figure in Dino Charge had two weapons.
yeah, that's true. The gun and the sword.
Ninja Steel went down to just one, and every Ranger has the same exact sword.
That's true. I mean, that can be debatable, because technically they all in the Ninja and in Ninja Steel, they technically all have the same exact.
Well, the thing is, like, when in Overdrive's line, when the Rangers had their same sidearm, some of them had the gun form, some of them had the sword form.
Yes, the girls, I believe, had sword, and the guys had gun.
Right, so it gives you some variation in the accessories. So what I think Ninja Steel could have benefited from was that each Ranger comes with a sword, but then they each come with like a different like there's the Battle Morpher has 3 different forms.
Yeah.
Include one of those, like, spread them out that way through the Rangers.
Yeah, like pink used the bow, yellow used the claw. What did blue use?
Blue is bow.
Blue bow.
So blue and pink would have a bow, and then yellow and whoever you have would have the claw instead.
And the red
Yellow
would
and
just
white
have
would have the
basic
claw,
face
blue and
law.
pink would have the bow, and then red would have the sword mode.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would work. I mean, it's something
Or,
that
or,
you know,
or you give them the toad guns.
yes, actually, we never actually got the tow guns. That's a good.
Yeah, the only way to get battle morphers at all was to get the multi-pack.
Yeah, that was pretty much how you.
Yeah, like
you
that.
did
This is the thing that I think is the issue with the retail and the legacy lines. Like they don't want to give an accessory count, and what is it? Greg says that the overall like Bandai mindset is like they don't want to put just the little bit of extra money in because they don't think they'll get the money back.
So someone on Ranger Board, like a lot of things that happened when Greg was at Bandai, like a lot of us did give him input on a lot of things. So the reissued Legacy Megazord, it was Toy Fair at that time when he showed off the black and gold one. I told Greg to please recheck the sword because I remember if you've seen the review that a lot of people have done, even including mine, when Ranger Review was still active, that when you put the sword in, it had a really tight fit, and you would actually have a chance to actually scratch the metal, chromed paint on the sword because the handle was really, really tight. The reissued version doesn't have the issue because they fixed a lot of things with it because a lot of people complain about stickers. They complain about certain things like the joints weren't tight enough. Like you can tell when the Dragon Sword came out and people formed the Megazord and the Dragon Sword, that thing toppled over like no tomorrow. And
you put it inside Titanus and it gets worse.
Yeah, and the reissue actually improved the joints because a lot of us did tell. I remember telling Greg, I'm like, Greg, if you are gonna make Titanus, please make the Megazord a bit more stable or make the sword handle bigger. He's like, why? What happened? I'm like, the thing doesn't fit well. I remember touching the black and gold one when I was at Toy Fair. I'm like, okay, it fits well. You guys fixed it. He's like, all right, I'm gonna go look into that and we'll see what we can do. He fixed the issue, which I was like, thank you so much for fixing this issue. You have no idea how painful it was not to put a sword on my Megazord because I don't want to scratch it up. And I know a lot of collectors are very anal when it comes like there's a small little scratch on sword.
Oh yeah, remember the other one with when the Legacy figures came out for Ninja Storm, and there was like a weird excess of like the paint oils or whatever of the plastic were staining the actual accessories of the hands. Or if you had MMPR red or green, their ball joints broke too easily because they were just too brittle.
And then also in the figure arts line, that thing happened as well. If people notice, if you put Tyranno Ranger / MMPR red with his power sword, the power gun, or the power, any variation of the power sword, the blade blaster and the sword. After like about a couple of days, and you take it off, you'll see some residue of the red actually stain the figure art hand as well. Same thing with the Ninja Storm figure. When I actually brought that up too with Greg, that the Ninja Storm figures that if you leave this accessory on the Red Ranger and you take it off, you do see the residue on. And I actually gave him my Ninja Storm Red to give to Ken. Ken is actually one of the lead toy designers. Ken is actually one of the designers for the Legacy line for Bandai America. And you guys have seen him in MMPR Toys videos when Bruno saw the Dino Thunder figures. He was one of the guys there, and he actually does help with the Legacy line, which he does a great job. He took a lot of the opinions and a lot of feedback that we gave him, and a few of my other friends did give him good feedback on some of the toys that can be improved, and they've improved really well. So it's not a bad thing to say that Ninja Steel were cutting girls. I mean, it works both ways. It's a double-edged sword to us because as collectors, we do want more girls, and every person does want a complete team. But at the same time, certain places will get it, and certain places will get more than usual. And if they're not selling, retailers won't order any more cases. It's kind of like it's really a double-edged sword. We asked for figures, we got it. But now it's oversaturated with the girls, and no one's buying them. Why would retailers order more things if they're not selling a specific thing?
Okay, now here's other things Yumi and Sound have talked about off show and on show and other cases, like places and stuff too. Is that like one of the real issues too is the fact that it's not really about going out and going to your local store to shop, but also the issue is that a lot of the stores we shop at that do stock these figures, even though they'll have a bad stock in store, their online line accessibility is even harder for those that don't have those stores near them. Like, say me being disabled, like being in the more out countryside area of upstate New York, I don't really go out and, I don't do the usual, like, super diehard collector living in New York City, or the super collector living in Albuquerque, New Mexico, or the super collector living in, like, I wouldn't say Canada, but California, where they go to, like, 5 or 6 different cities or towns nearby to, like, 8 different or 16 different and waste, like, an entire day's worth of gas, like, their day off, looking for these figures on release
New
day.
Mexico is more like Albuquerque is where everything good is at, and anybody that's not in Albuquerque will come to Albuquerque to look for stuff.
But what I'm trying to say is, like, I'm not in that position where I can go out like people do, like the actual diehards, where they just go, and I have to sometimes rely on internet. And when you wait for, like, online stores, the stores don't stock it, or if they do, they stock it at these weird bullshit hours where you're not even going to know it's even there. Like, I remember one time, I think I went to actually go make a fucking sandwich, and, I didn't bring my phone with me, I didn't bring my tablet with me, I literally was like, oh, hey, Darkon, I'll be right back, and lo and behold, they put the page up, and, like, straight up activate it right then and there, instead of, like, doing, like, a ghost activation, where, like, they put up the page, and you, like, see the page there for days, and you're like, oh, it's sold out, but then they go to activate it. No, the entire page goes live. I come back, shit's already sold out, and I'm like,
You mean like a placeholder?
Yeah, like they don't they don't even put a placeholder page up in advance to know that it's gonna go up soon. They just put the fucking thing live, and you come back and you're like, what did I miss?
There's another issue. When it comes to Ninja Steel figures on Amazon, Amazon is upcharging because of some unknown reason. They're selling the figures for $17 to $20 a piece. And it's straight from Amazon directly, not a third-party seller. They're selling them on average for like $16.95 each, which is insanely high compared to their actual suggested retail price. And every figure has a different price.
Like, it's weird because online stores, it does help you, but then there's like, if there's too much traffic, like, I know, this is an example would be the Super NES Classic, where I remember where, the Fiesta was, Amazon had a placeholder for it, but it never worked. And then Walmart, if you guys remember the fiasco of Walmart, where people were like, oh, the placeholder for the SNES is up, and the pre-orders went live. But then, like, a month later, all orders got canceled because Walmart's excuse is, oh, we put it up by accident. It wasn't supposed to be up until a certain time. Then behold, in August, when the Super NES Classic was on pre-order, all pages went live. But the downside was Amazon, people actually signed up for the alert on Amazon, never got an alert because Amazon decided, hey, let's make a new listing instead. So a new listing came up, but guess what? Like Wheelz said, it came up around a random time where no one is freaking awake, or like no one would think about it. At 4:55 a.m., Amazon's pre-order link went live. Same thing with Best Buy and Walmart. The links went up live at like 1, 2 a.m. in the morning EST time, where most of us are pretty much sleeping or have a job. So we're not going to go, hey, let me go up and check online, see what they have.
Yeah, and like that's the thing that I hate is like there are those diehards that are able to do that while they're working, or there's those people who just can sit around on their asses and wait all around all day. And I sit there and I go, this is kind of a disadvantage for the adult collectors, for like at least for the Legacy line, which it's kind of originally intended for. And then the retail line, I can make sense. Okay, it's for kids, so you can put up whenever you want, and you just hope that the parents notice it or the kids notice it, and yada yada yada. But I'm like, for your collector line that you're trying to envision for the adults to get them to buy your product so you can get more money, you take no consideration, whether it be the stores that know they're collectors or the actual company releasing it is like, hey, maybe we should actually just make a shop ourselves and just sell it out of our shop for the collectors.
I wish it would happen, but there's so much things around. They just
I really want to talk about certain things that I know we can't talk about, like reasons why like the Legacy figures are a little bit of the like asinine ass work that they are in some degree, is because certain things about the whole politicking behind the scenes of that because of the success of like this is the thing we can talk about publicly because it's more of a visual fact, is that because of the popularity of Marvel Legends, Star Wars Black, and DC Classics / Multiverse, that was the reason why like Saban and Bandai were pushing for the idea to release these Legacy line figures. But like then there was the extra push by it had to be Saban himself to say, Bandai, I want these figures out now, rather than waiting till they had a perfected system for the body sculpt and the overall build the figure, and as well as making sure that people got an accessory or accessories with their figure. Because like I said, I don't like the fact that we had to rebuy the Rangers to get the weapons.
So the Legacy line, now I am one of the people. I know that a lot of people that do the media events have seen the Legacy figures. The prototypes of the Legacy figures were horrendously different from what we have right now. I will tell you this right now, straight off the bat. I went to Toy Fair that year, and they reviewed the Legacy line. That was when Dino Supercharge was about to come out, and I saw the Titano Megazord. I saw like a lot of things, and I was talking to Greg for like a good few minutes because that was a really crucial time for us. Because now the Legacy figures, when that happened, I was so happy that he did it. But of course, no one was able to see pictures or take pictures because it was still in the prototype stage. So if people don't know how toys and things work, a company will make a prototype of a figure. The prototype is then shown to media and whoever outlets, like Premium Bandai. They show like stages of say Figure Arts Boruto that they announced like a couple of weeks ago. That could be a prototype. It's not that product. That's why a lot of places that say actual image may not be the official release because it's a legal thing. Whereas like, hey, if I bought like say Kamen Rider Double and I saw in a prototype thing, hey, he had that thing. How come mine doesn't have it? It's a legal thing where it protects people from oh, this is it. That's why if you see prototypes, you always say disclaimer. This is a prototype, not the actual product. It's to protect themselves from crazy shit like this. The Legacy figures, when I saw red and green, they looked so bad. Like the amount I couldn't stand seeing them was like, what did I just see? But luckily, they improved on it and it became what it is now. I really, really liked how they became the prototypes. I know that there were like a lot of people, like people from Token Nation and Ranger Crew, they did see it, and a few other people that do media have seen it. But as a fan, seeing it up close when I first saw it, I was like, wow, these were really, really different from what we see now. Also, another fact about the Legacy figures is the only reason why we don't see a lot of Legacy figures now is because they're still sitting on shelves. And I'm pretty sure you can agree with me that we've seen it now, that white and yellow are clogging up every single shelf you see.
And that's completely Bandai's fault, too.
Because the thing is, as us Power Ranger fans know, MMP ourselves. But to be people that want, other series, it's a different story. Because remember, the Wave 3 was initially at GameStop. And the official thing was pink, black, and blue in space, 2 whites, and 1 yellow. That was a case line for Wave 3. And then now, Walmart's, Target's, Toys R Us's, they're just getting MMPO white and pink, white and yellow, because those are the only ones that sell. And I talked to Tony from Bandai recently at New York Comic Con. I was like, so, about those figures? He's like, yeah, we do want to push more, but retailers won't buy them because they're still sitting on them. I went to Toys R Us in Elizabeth, New Jersey last week. I still saw a Ninja Stone Blue Ranger in the original, the first wave box. So if you guys know, the metallic, the metal finish boxes didn't come until like the summer of PMC last year. And this time, I still saw the original plastic box, the paper box of Ninja Storm Blue. That's kind of sad seeing something from last year still sitting on the shelf.
But yeah, that's the thing that's kind of confusing, though. How is that one still here when, like, in most areas it should be gone, because it was such a... Like, how is that even a straggler? That's the confusing part,
That's the thing that I don't really know, but Tony did say that there are a lot of places and there's still a lot of distribution areas that still are just sitting on like Ninja Storm Blue and like In Space Yellow. And I think In Space Yellow is also another issue why we still see her on shelves. There are a lot of places. Like I think last year during Christmas, Wave 2 came out. Now we do know that Wave 2 had the silver belts and people complained up the ass about it. Okay, we get it. But there has been many times that people, even Bruno from Imperial Toys, has done customization on those things. You can just paint it, and you can make it look white. It's not hard. Legitimately, it's not hard. And if you collect Gunpla, you can paint very well. It is not hard.
You can even just use a Gundam marker.
Exactly. If you really, 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 really ain't up the ass about having a silver belt, you can always get a Gundam marker. Test it out on like a few things, the little things that you don't need. Test it out with like paper, learn how to do it in like a couple of minutes and just do it yourself. It's really not hard. But, Legacy line, I get the MPR sells, but at the same time, there are fans that do want other things like Zeo, SPD, In Space. There are a lot of things about it.
But do you think that it's not just the fandom, but Bandai themselves that are hurting the line? Because
it's more like both.
Because like it seems like neither side is gonna give, because when they did the GameStop line, and like we said, they only gave the mass retailers yellow and white. It was like, well, here's an entire case of just yellow and white, and people were wondering where the fuck are the other three that are supposed to be in the assortment.
Because remember, GameStop doesn't get a lot of shipments. Like
that was
GameStop
their first legacy shipment.
Yeah. Actually, no, that's the second one.
Well, my GameStop stores never had Legacy in their inventory until Wave 3.
Maybe. I don't remember. Was it? Maybe. I don't remember. But
and that thing was, like, I have 14 GameStops in my city, so...
Actually, no. GameStop also did get the Wave 1, Wave 2 lines in, because I remember the GameStop in the city.
It was only in some particular areas, in, like, the largest areas of the country.
Yeah, like...
Because those came out before GameStop made their collectibles section a regular thing in all their stores.
Yeah, it was like any place that had like a big GameStop had like a Think Geek section. Those places had like Wave 1, Wave 2, and Wave 3 pretty much. So when GameStop is one company, but they have like 1,000 something stores. So they were the ones that got only one case. Like legitimately, they only got one case of each and every figure in. Like I can tell you right now that when someone online and on Ranger Board and Twitter tweeted out, "Oh yeah, GameStop is getting these," I'm pretty sure everyone rushed to their GameStops to get it, and I did as well, because I was like,
that's what I did.
I was like, GameStop having legacy figures in my area? This is a joke, right? Like I literally was laughing, and I was like, this is a joke. My friend, my coworker, he was like, "This is a GameStop?" I'm like, "Yeah." Are you surprised? Like, why the hell would they have at GameStop? All places. I'm like, "Yeah," and I told him. Not even Toys R Us got this site, this little wave in. He's like, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah." And then my coworker, her boyfriend, is a big Mighty Morphin fan. So I told her, I'm like, tell your boyfriend, go to GameStop and find every single figure, because I know he likes Mighty Morphin. You gotta go hunt them. So I went to my GameStop, the one closest to me, and I was 10 minutes late, because someone just bought the yellow and white Ranger from that wave, and I legitimately was like, "Are you serious?" He was like, "You were 10 minutes late. They just got into shipment at like 2:30. I just got there at like 2:50." And I saw the box. I'm like, "Wait, is that the legacy figure box?" He's like, "Yeah, it's Power Rangers, man." I'm like, "The hell you guys get it?" And I'm like, "Do you have yellow and white?" They're like, "We just sold it to a guy." I'm like, "God damn it."
Yeah, like that's the thing that I kind of hate, is like most of that wave was exclusive, and then it fucked up everything for everyone when they started like, "Oh, we're just gonna release like yellow and white." Like
because I think it's because retailers knew that Mighty Morphin will be the selling point of the wave.
Probably, yeah.
Because I can see why. Because my Toys R Us, when Wave 2 finished, all I saw were pink and yellows. Because pinks, I think, were 2 in Wave 2. Pink was 2 in the case, and in Space Red, people will buy it because Andros was was a really favorite character. In Space Yellow, people were hesitant about that. And then When GameStop released it, behold, pink, black, and blue came out, and you can complete in space. But then it's like, okay, GameStop's not many people have GameStops around, or if they had a GameStop, they either got the box in, but then they sold out of it within like a couple of weeks. And then I found out from my workplace, there's a GameStop in the basement. So I went to the GameStop, and I'm like, I've been searching because I know that I've had a few friends who were looking for yellow and white. I found like 2 of them for me and myself, because I'm like, I keep one in box and one out of the box because I wanted to do that for the hell of it. So, it's weird because I went to the GameStop and the guy was legitimately like, I'm not going to get any more in because they legitimately just deleted the whole product listing from the site. I was like, corporate deleted the product. I'm like, what do you mean they deleted? I'm like, I'm not getting any more white and yellows. I'm like, why? He's like, we only got one case and that was the final one. We were never going to get any more. I'm like, that is so weird. And then behold, a couple of months later, Walmart, Targets, and Toys R Us just got white and yellows in it. Now we're stuck with those for a while.
Or in the cases of my Targets, we have either one white or one yellow per store.
That's also another issue too.
And it's like, okay, with the whole concept of, oh, we have these figures clogging the shelves, you guys need to buy more figures. If I buy up like the 4 legacy figures that are at my Targets, is Target going to get more figures?
See, that's also another thing that we don't know, like how distribution works, is that will Bandai be like, okay, guys, we still need to get rid of these figures. We don't know if they have like a ton of like maybe 10, 15, 25, maybe hundreds of boxes of white and yellow left. We don't know like what the initial one is. Like when Greg said that when the legacy line, when Wave 2 came out, people saw the silver belts, people didn't want to buy it because they were inconsistent. I'm like, I get where you're coming from, but they were never going to reissue the line. Even I think Greg even posted on his Instagram that these are limited run and they were not going to reissue.
The packaging says limited edition, but yet we see so much of them. How true is that limited edition thing?
Yeah, that's also another reason why you kind of question, because the fans do question it, like, this limited edition, how much do they actually make?
Yeah,
because here's another thing.
They told us we shouldn't delay in buying the figures because they're not going to be around for very long.
Yeah, but then they were around for a while.
They're still around.
Yeah, like one thing I was getting really annoyed with, not just because like I think my biggest issue is like 1 is the accessory count, but 2 is the fact that like they're only limited edition depending on if your area is shit in the first fucking place in some cases. Because for me, it's like we either didn't get the wave until months after the hype died down, or we had the wave and the hype cleared out and my store just was like, we're not going to get it back, and I have to get shit online, and even then online doesn't even have it even in stock. So it's like, I don't think they know what the fuck they're even know what a limited edition is, or know what a like how to make fucking distribution works. Because like, look at the first couple of waves. Remember Deca? Like, for once, the Legacy line showed up a couple of weeks after you got me my figures that I wanted, and then Wave 2 didn't show up till like right after Christmas, even though everyone else had it before Christmas, and then Wave 3, I never saw it in store until the yellow-white revision.
I think that issue was just a thing that Bandai pulled randomly because if you go to Entertainment Earth and BBTS, they always post cases things up before even the product's actually there.
Yeah, and sometimes sometimes they don't even in stock the waves. They just immediately sell out, and then you just hope that you get your order.
Or there's certain things where it's like we don't know what's inside the wave yet. It's to be determined. Or to be a TBA, it's like things like that where it's like, okay, am I ordering this wave? Am I gonna get this wave or am I gonna get something else? It's very hard to know because we don't know if Bandai actually like said, oh hey, since retailers only want yellow and white, let's make just yellow and white and screw the others. We really don't know what really happened with that.
Yeah, and like I was saying with sound out off the record was like, I think one of the biggest things is I think they're trying to force a lot of these lines out because they're trying to play catch up, not just with like how many series of Power Rangers there are, but they're trying to hope to like get somewhere where they can make money off of the hype of Marvel Legends. In a sense, they want to get that, like they want to capitalize on something that their competitors are doing rather than taking the time to make good quality figures to rival their competitors. they're just rushing out a product to compete rather than trying to actually be constant and competent, you know?
This is the problem with Power Rangers as a brand.
Yeah, they're always trying to compete.
Power Rangers is trying to be Marvel and DC without realizing they don't have the notoriety, the overall general positive reception, the character variety, or the toy variety to compete with them. Power Rangers is a TV show that's been going on for 25 years, but you got comic companies that have existed for 70 plus years.
The also issue is that the fandom also plays a big role in like what Power Rangers is. That's the thing that I feel like beside the toys, us as fans, we ask for too much.
The fans ask too much of the companies making Power Rangers, and the fans are not receptive to new people coming into the fandom.
Like
Power Rangers fandom is one of the most closed off and hostile fandoms that I have ever seen. Getting into it now is nearly impossible because you're chased out the door the second you open it.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's kind of true, because, like is that case, but, I mean, there are other fandoms that are a little bit like that still. I mean, Star Wars has kind of always been like that as well, I've seen growing up. Star Wars and
Star
Power
Wars
Rangers
also Star Wars also isn't a series that teaches teamwork, accepting others for who they are, working with people, and trying to make the world a better place.
Yeah, that's true.
Well,
Which the Power Rangers fans seem to ignore all of that.
Well, also Power Rangers. No, sadly to say, Power Ranger fans are cheap asses.
That's true. Because
they say they buy things, and then when it comes time to put money where their mouth is, they don't do it.
Like my issue is I say I will buy it if it's at a certain price, but I'm not gonna go out and say, oh, I'll buy it no matter what the price is. I'm more of a guy like if they make it reasonable. And that I'll get it. Like when they're like, okay, here's a figure, it's nicely detailed, has several points of articulation, it hits this size range. Yeah, I'll spend like $9.99 on the basic figures. But when I see the legacy figures, oh, they're the size. They have quite a lot of articulation of a Marvel Legends character.
But they're too big for Marvel Legends size.
Oh yeah, they're a little bit bigger than Marvel Legends size. Like they're a little bit bigger. They don't have like a good accessory count and. The Build-A-Figures, I hate quite a lot of the Build-A-Figure Megazords. Like, they just, like, didn't even put any work into these figures.
The Build-A-Figure line, I mean, well, the Build-A-Megazord thing is a nice concept. I get where they're coming from with that, but it could have been more like the release and, like, the quality of what they could have done could have been a bit more better.
That's why I don't really like legacy figures anymore, is because they don't take the time to actually make the Build-A-Figure Megazord look anything like the fucking Megazord.
And also there's a lack of paint detail, and the joints are really trash because they're the freaking Nixon morph joints.
You see, I do have issues with that, but at the same time, like, I feel like if Bandai... I think also another place, Saban also. Remember, Saban also has the same to what Bandai does as well. So like, Bandai can technically give them a product like, okay, here's Saban, here's this, but then Saban could be like, no, I don't like it, and he shoots it out the door, and then they have to the team has to reformat everything like that to start over. Like, okay, what can we do, this and that. I think besides just Bandai playing a part of it, Saban might also be playing a part of it too, because we don't really know how. If prototypes of the Megazord or like was there a better version of it came out, you don't know how like anything happened between like that.
Yeah, that was one of the things I was talking about earlier. Like, can we even talk about that with the politicking? Because I know the one story that I don't know if that was you who told me in confidentiality or it was Greg who put it up actually on his post when he left about the story of how he turned down box art 7 times.
That I don't remember who said it, but how companies work is that if people don't know, companies like all the box art designs from Power Rangers, Marvel Legends, DC, all those things, they have to go to corporate. Like anytime the company makes, so if Hasbro making Star Wars, okay, Hasbro makes it, they have to go to Disney or whoever is in charge of the product making. Like there are things where people, like even from my company, we have to go through a lot of like legal things and like.
I understand
like
you have to jump through a lot of hoops, but the
you
fact
really
that like for a box art for a kid's action figure, you went through almost 7 drafts.
I think it was like a few, like 4, most like 4 drafts or something like
Okay,
that.
I remember reading 7 for some reason.
I don't remember who said that, but there were like a lot of times. I think also when someone leaked out the Super Mega Force box art, I think they changed it too at the last
They
second.
did.
Because I think someone posted up a box art link of Super Mega Force, but then I think it was shut down within like a day or a few hours, and then they redesigned the box art. I believe. I don't remember. It's been a while for that one. But like a lot of companies have to go through higher ups to approve of everything. So if you don't like a legacy box art or you don't like a certain box art from a company, you can blame the company head ups because of that.
Yeah, and I think the biggest problem really is right now is that we don't really know what the hell is going on. Like, we want to know what's going on. We want to understand. Because, like, the thing is, as a fan, I feel like I don't ask a lot in comparison of what the overall fandom wants out of it. Like, as a fan by myself, I just want really nice figures and, given a lot of... I want them to be good quality, but still at a reasonable price. But with how Bandai's actual business ethics are, their version of quality and price doesn't match their competitors. So it's like, if you want a nice, maybe 5 to 6 inch figure with maybe, what is it, the basic figure has, 12 points of articulation maybe on a basic figure, and maybe, 2 weapon accessories, they're like, oh, if you want good quality like that, it's going to be somewhere between, $12 and $14. And if you want a good rival to freaking probably Marvel Legends Black Series figures or DC Classics, or DC Multiverse that they're now called as, the thing is that you would have to pay almost $25 or $30, I feel like, with Bandai, because Bandai themselves don't seem to have a hold on their own frickin' budget. And I feel like it's because of other failed toy lines that they've had that, people don't put into consideration.
That plays into it, because if you think about Bandai with their Power Rangers line, they have it easy. Most of the Ranger teams can be done with 2 molds with a head swap. And the difference comes into accessories and paint. And so the thing is that you look at something like with Bandai making a team of the Mighty Morphin Rangers, well, a majority of them are the same mold. And there's only very minor modifications. Oh, we swapped this head, we swapped this belt buckle. And in case of the Legacy Wave 1, or the first version of the Mighty Morphin Rangers, they all had the same weapon. There's no variation there. It's very cut and paste toy making, because that's accurate to Power Rangers. But then you look at an Avengers lineup for Marvel Legends, and everybody's got different molds. Sometimes there's parts shared, but they don't share parts between Captain America and Spider-Man, and yet that line is still able to produce more accessories, more paint, higher quality plastic. And why is that? Well, Hasbro also has Transformers. That's a big success. Hasbro also has Star Wars. Mattel has DC, but they also have Hot Wheels and Barbie. Bandai has almost nothing, because every single toy line they have either dies or the license gets picked up by another company. Power Rangers is the only consistent thing they've had in the last 25 years.
Well, technically, yeah, kind of just Bandai just pretty much has Power Rangers. But the only issue, you also gotta think of Marvel has so many brands of figures: Spider-Man, X-Men, Guardians of the Galaxy, Hulk, Thor, Iron Man, Captain America. The mainstream things like Power Rangers.
Yeah, it's still little known, but what we're saying is that I feel like the issue is Bandai's only real success is through Power Rangers, which is still such a small thing, so they don't ever have the time to put the money that they have on hand actually into it anymore. So they're trying to cut corners.
But it's also strange, because their Dragon Ball Stars line for Dragon Ball Super seems to have is much higher quality than the Power Rangers Legacy line is.
But
has more articulation, has more accessories.
It does, but I still prefer the figure arts. I'm just saying.
And the thing is that your figure arts are better, but they're more expensive. for a base retail line, I think Dragon Stars does the trick there. But it's following a similar plan to Power Rangers Legacy, but it's executing it so much better. Is that because
is that also
Toei for Dragon Ball or what?
I think it's because also Dragon Ball, there's also a big popularity in Dragon Ball, because with Dragon Ball Super, you realize that the fandom has like shot up like thousands of miles because of it. And I think the Dragon Ball Star line, it's interesting, but since I collect the figure arts, and a perfect example is for Power Rangers, the Legacy Megazord versus the new Soul Chogokin Daijujin / Mighty Morphin Megazord. Now, as you know, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, great. You know, it's a Legacy Megazord. I adored the Legacy Megazord. I liked what Bandai and what they did with it. It made something where it's die-cast, but then it's like they kind of routed it where it's like, is a point where, okay, you can spend this much money on the original, but here's an updated version, more slimmer. It doesn't do as much as the original, but it's still good for display. Perfectly fine. And it's, show accurate. Boom. Perfect price point. But now, if you look at the retail aftermarket for the Legacy Megazord, even with the reissue that happened like about a year ago, the prices are still up, which to me is like, why is it still up when there was a reissue? Because I remember back when the Legacy Megazord was wiped out completely, Dragon Zord came out, people were asking for like, oh, anybody have a Legacy Megazord for retail? I want to pay retail now because the Dragon Zord came out. I'm like, great, you should have gotten. That's why I think, because also the fact that people have noticed a little bit that if you don't get things like, I tell people, the Legacy line, if you really, really like the series, just buy it now and you don't regret it, or just wait for sales. But like I said, you have a chance of you're not going to get everything that you hope for, and people are okay with it.
And don't forget, though, there is that fact of, like you say, get it now and you won't regret it. Or the fact is, if you can't afford it right now, wait for a sale. But don't forget,
but
when
don't
the
let
Legacy
the sale end before you get it.
Yeah, don't forget, there's the other argument too of sometimes the item on sale isn't even in stock when the sale occurs. Because here's the thing: when you have a Legacy line like the main role play and weapons being exclusive to Toys R Us, and Toys R Us being very stingy before they declared bankruptcy with their sales, like good example. I didn't really want to. I said I would only get the Legacy movie figures if I could get them during like one of their good sales, and every time the sales would go up, that's when everyone else was waiting for them, and so it would sell out before I could even make my order, So it was like, or they didn't stock all the figures, so I couldn't be verified for, say, oh, only online, this sale is get 50% off, buy one, get 50% off all of your figures, we'll go up to like 3 to 5 times until we'll cut you off at this, buy one, get 50% off. But it's like, if you can't get the 6 figures to the, Build-A-Wave figure in one go, it's like, Jesus Christ, what the fuck,
I feel like what Toys is, like going back to the example of Daijujin, people complaining that it's a $300 Megazord. I'm like, the articulation.
There's a lot of die cast. There's a lot of like.
I have both the Legacy Megazord and the Shou Chogokin. I told even all my friends agree. I'd rather spend the $300 on the Chogokin than the aftermarket price for Legacy Megazord. Even though I have 3 Legacy Megazords, I still prefer the Chogokin one because there's more articulation, there's diecast, and my god, the wheels that it has. Oh my god.
Alright, so I need us to start wrapping up in just a couple of minutes. So I want to just have like our end result be is that we all kind of agree that the biggest problem at hand is there is obviously the company is sometimes not reading what the fandom wants, and the fandom is projecting what it is over projecting what they really are trying to get like a perfect compensation for, because we want more females, we want more variety, but the problem is that the company itself doesn't know how to, in a sense, produce
it in a way where it's not too much, but it's not too little. It meets like the middle point. That's the issue with
or the fact is they try to think that they're matching us, but they're actually not attributing, because like I said, I don't like the fact that, like I said, Legacy figures, I feel like they're Build-A-Figures, they should have took more time working on them, and I feel like we should have gotten at least their main signature weapon, but they don't think that we're permitted to have these items at the same time.
To be honest, I don't know why they're not smaller so they can have accessories in the same amount of plastic.
Well, I think it's also because from what one of the videos said, they said that it goes like the paint details and everything cost money to make, which I understand that. I get that it's expensive, but if they put it at a price point where people still would buy it, I think it would do good. I personally think that if it was like a $25-$30 figure and it had a Build-A-Figure and the proper accessories, I would pay that much for it.
Because I remember, what was it, when they first explained it at Toy Fair, and there were two different descriptions that came out, because I remember as they were explaining it to the audience, this is one of the things I do remember, I think Power Rangers Now saying, was the first one was saying, oh, you're going to get like a 5.5 or a 6-inch Ranger figure, and allegedly like a micro Zord replica of the Zord in show. If you're buying the, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, you were going to get allegedly like a small Tyrannosaurus that could become the core piece of Daijujin. Then when you would get the other pieces, it would be almost like a miniature, like DX, almost like, like almost the Zeo Microzord playset, almost like that. You would get it and it would build and assemble a Build-A-Figure while also being the individual parts. Then the next way, when they finally heard what the Build-A-Figure was the following day, when they showed the prototypes to them and they couldn't take the photos, they explained, oh, it'll be similar to the Build-A-Figure Marvel Legends characters, where you have to get, one Ranger will be the torso, one Ranger will be the arm, one will be the torso and head, one will be the arm, one will be the other arm, one will be the leg, one will be the other leg, and then the 6th Ranger will come with his own weapon as well as the actual weapon to the Zord, and then that didn't even happen. So it's like, I feel like if they would have gone with, at least if they wanted to do like the $24.99 for Build-A-Figure accessory, basic, sidearm accessory and their power weapon, I don't see what would go wrong then. I don't, I get it.
Basically, what they needed to do is make sure that the value of what you're getting in the package makes you feel good that you're like getting a good value for what you're getting, and that would translate to other people picking up a figure like, oh, let me try out Mighty Morphin Red because I like Mighty Morphin, being like, wow, this is a cool, great, solid figure, and there's a lot in the package. Maybe I should pick up some of the other teams.
Because I feel like the fandom comes off like as you say, we over expect shit because we over expect shit because not just because of old nostalgia standards, but when we expect or we are explained stuff by Bandai, the way they communicate it as, and it's dictated from the news outlets that talk to them, it sometimes doesn't get transcribed correctly. So it seems like they're it sounds like they're meeting.
You tell one media outlet, okay, the Build-A-Figure will be coming with an accessory and like a Build-A-Figure, but then like another outlet will go to another representative and be like, okay, this will come with an accessory, a miniature weapon set, and also the Build-A-Figure. And then another person is like, I think is also communication is also a key feature that I think a lot of places do lack, and I do agree that toy companies do have that. Well, certain toy companies do have that. Besides Bandai, there are certain toy companies that communication is a key thing to what people are, because I think before Matty Collector went down, they listened to the fans, they took input, and that's
they also gave out information at Matty Collector would not only take in information from fans, but they would actually tell you, oh hey, so this wave's going to be shipping out soon, like Wave 17 DC Classics should be out in stores in August. Wave 18 is going to be part of a new end cap at Walmart. Like, they would give us updates on things. Yeah, now, so like Matty Collector's gone, Mattel has gotten so silent that we're sitting on 4 waves have been shown, with one of the waves being shown last Comic-Con from 2016, and they're still not hitting retail yet, and we're not sure what's happening.
So, I think, like you guys said, I think it's because of the whole communication thing. It could be one key is that, they can tell, Power Rangers Now, toys, whatever toy company that goes and interviews Bandai, they can tell them one thing, but then maybe they might have changed things, when
for
doing
example,
Toy Fair.
Remember MSRPs? They said, oh, it's this MSRP, then they heard the fan backlash, then they lower the MSRP, but then they raise the MSRP back up again, or they say, oh, we're going to expect to release, I remember, what was it? They said originally Saba was going to be, only like, they wanted it to be like 120 $129.99, but it was like what, $149.99, like an extra $20.
No, that wasn't sub.
I forget. It was something where they said it was going to be this price, but then it was
That
like
was the
40
Power
bucks.
Sword.
It was going to be 40. It was like $40 higher than they originally said it was supposed to be.
Because Saba was 100.
Yeah, because I remember there was just like stupid stuff where like even they themselves would say, "Oh, it's going to be this," but then when the time came, it was actually higher than the price they said it was going to be.
I think one of the problems with Bandai communication is that most of the Bandai communication we get is secondhand. They're not just outright stating things officially, like with quotes. Like anytime Bandai is out there, they tell like Power Rangers Now something, they tell MMPR Toys something, and then those people regurgitate it back to the fandom, and it gets garbled, and the message is lost. If Bandai just had a blog or a website or a Twitter feed or something using like all the social media options out there, if they were just, and it may not be, they may not be allowed to do that, but if they had a way to just communicate directly to fans and give them updates on things, I think there'd be a lot less confusion and chaos.
I think it's because like when say like when Power Rangers Now or MMPR Toys or Toku Nation, they put out something. When they put it out, is also the fact that other places that retweet it or revise the thing, they also revise it where other people look at it as like, oh, they got it from here, but then this guy didn't say he got it from Toku Nation or MMPR Toys or Power Rangers Now, and so there's also an issue with the fandom because they can give Bandai and Saban can give a press release to those three guys, and they put out what they say they put out. But then other media outlets will take what they found or like what they see, and then they could revise it and make it seem a different thing. Which is
Okay,
also
here's the
issue.
thing though: when you do a press release, you're actually supposed to quote it literally quote it in a block quote. And sometimes some of those guys that are the main members of the Power Force actually take the actual public print sheet that they're supposed to just copy and paste into their editorial post to say, hey, this is an update, given to us by Saban Brands. No, they'll try to shorten and compress it down for the general. They'll paraphrase it rather than just copy and pasting, because an actual public release is supposed to be shared 100% word for word as the document or PDF sent to you. And if they're paraphrasing it, they're technically, I think, themselves. I don't know what the right term is, but they're in a sense in a legal standpoint. So like if someone at Bandai or Saban actually gave a rat's ass to double check to make sure that they're not paraphrasing, they could be actually in a legal situation where they could actually get their shit revoked from them or sued.
That I don't know about those press release things. I don't do any of those things.
Well, no, seeing that I actually have done press releases before. Most press releases are, you can't paraphrase it. You just gotta copy and block quote that shit. Or screen cap the press release and post it as an image.
That's up to whatever those guys do, but I've seen people just kind of like rephrase what they've said from Bandai, so it's like, it's communication, which is a big part. I know that a lot of places have done, Toku Nation, Power Rangers Now, MMPR Toys, they've done what they've done. I also feel like there's a lot of people that take what they've taken, like, use it as their own reference or like use it as their thing, and they revise it where other fans will be like, oh, this, I heard it from this person on this site. So it's like that, even though that we can get an official press release, I feel like there's also other outlets that, that small places that are like, oh, let's paraphrase our own version of it and make it seem like something. But then when other people that do it, they read it and it's like, oh, this happened.
Indeed. What
I find to be strange is I don't see this happen in any other toy collecting fandoms besides Power Rangers. There's no miscommunication when new Marvel Legends get announced. There's not really miscommunication when new Transformers get announced. But for Power Rangers, there's, something gets announced or released, or there's a press release or some kind of info comes out, and then everybody has their own version of the story.
Almost. But it's like, communication is one thing, but it's the fan, like, as a collector, the fans are also very nitty-gritty on small little things where I'm like, okay, great. But then when, like you said, when something puts out and we don't support it, then we get blamed for it because we asked for it, but then it doesn't really excel very well. I
feel like it's a really bad double standard because, like, we ask for stuff, and like I said, sometimes execution by them fucks them, and then they blame it on us because we asked for it. And I go, the thing is though, when you have a consensus where at least it was like a compromise by most fans on a forum messaging it, not like the stupid one that you and me joke about, Deca, with Greg was, when are you guys making a Legacy Rad bug? No one's gonna fucking buy that piece of shit.
Here's another issue. Tour. I know people want tour.
Yeah, but no one's gonna buy it because of how much money it's gonna
the reason why people I remember Token Nation had a poll about legacy source material and all that. There was it's just people gotta take news like that with a little feedback. Like, okay, if they made it, would you guys buy it? Legacy tour. I told lots of people, if the tour wants to be made, sure, great, but I don't see it as a selling standpoint. Because Tor was, if I tell people, when you think of Mighty Morphin Zords, what are the top 3 Mighty Morphin Zords that you think of? Megazord, Dragonzord, Titanus. Those are the top main 3 that people will think of. I'm pretty sure people, at least 85 to 90%.
And in addition, if you ask people about Season 2, some people don't even remember Tor's existence.
Exactly. If the only thing I would say is Thunder Megazord and White Tiger Zord. Those are people are like, oh yeah, I remember those guys because the White Tiger Zord was the one that formed when Tommy got the White Ranger power, and Thunder Megazord was when the Rangers lost their Zords, but then they got new Zords. No one's gonna remember Tor. I understand that there are collectors that want Tor to complete the season 2, but Tor, I don't see like one of the main important
it's a fun toy to have if you have the original deluxe one. But I don't see the point to making it.
It's also just a giant hollow shell.
That's what Titanus was.
Titanus is at least like a dinosaur that had like a motorized gimmick, or in the Legacy one it can roll.
Well, also the neck was really, really nicely ball jointed.
Yeah, and there was some appeal to Titanus, I think, because it was a step up from the Mega Dragon Zord, right? You add to this, and now it's got this kind of cool thing. You can push it along the ground and hope the thing doesn't topple over. The nice articulate neck. With Tor, you got a giant turtle that turns into a robot that's basically a standing turtle.
With guns.
Then what is his big gimmick? Oh, he hides away a toy.
Yeah,
either you put the Red Dragon Thunder Zord in there or the White Tiger Zord. He hides it away. What is the Thunder Ultra Zord? It's just the Thunder Zord Assault Team carrier formation and the Tiger Zord stashed away inside Tor.
And the big finisher was
just to make that formation because you'll never know he's there.
You pretty much just crushing them in Die Ranger and Mighty Morphin, which just they lifted up the whole carrier zone. They just crushed the monster. That was it.
Yeah, it wasn't like the cool imposing. There's a giant dinosaur thing charging at you,
and has guns and missiles aiming right at
your ass. So that's the thing is I feel like one of the biggest issues is. One is, as we all say, MMPR is a giant FU. A majority of the fandom only loves MMPR, and for the people who want stuff outside of MMPR, there's that hard negotiation of how should we get it, how can they make it, and how can it be affordable. And then there's that whole thing, like we said with Bandai, they probably just don't really have the fundings to go all out, or if they do it, they're afraid people won't go for the price of it because it might be too unreasonable.
Like Titanus, Titanus. I know that people went crazy, stupid, oh, this price is too expensive, and then people waited, and then it was legitimately $100 for Titanus. You cannot go wrong with $100 Titanus. $150 is even a good price for Titanus. I'm like, $100 to $150, perfectly fine with Titanus. I'll buy it anytime. But then it's when people were now Titanus going for $500. People were oh, anyone have it for retail? I'm like, you guys don't listen. Legacy line like this. I understand you wanted to wait. If you had bills to pay, you had things to take care of. I totally understand that. But don't wait too long because this is the issue why the Megazord was a $300 toy when it first got reissued, and then now it's still $300 on the aftermarket. Yeah. So then there's a better one out there.
Yeah, and I think the biggest problem though is also the fact of when these sales do happen, either the online store doesn't have it, or your goddamn local store never fucking carried it.
Or the thing is, there's also that option that people forget, is that I don't see people doing what I ended up doing to get Titanus, which was I saved up my Toys R Us rewards for a year.
Yeah, you could do that too.
And then I got $50 off Titanus when the second he came out.
And also, there's also layaway now, so people technically can, hey, I want to buy this toy, I'll pay monthly payments. I understand that we have like things to pay and all that. I totally get that aspect because I do the same thing. But there's also a way where you can budget. I know that my friend does this now. He's like, if you want to save up something, each day put $1. So the second day you put $2, third day you put $3, fourth day you put $4, etc., etc. You keep doing that, you end up having, you do save up more money. And I do say, I understand that some of the stuff, I know people do buy other things too besides, Power Rangers. There are like other lines that we all collect, like minifigures wise, and also Pokemon. I always try to tell people, always do this. If you really, really, really want the toy badly, save up for it. Prioritize
like that dangerous zombie I'm still waiting for.
I'm still waiting for my Super Saiyan God Dragon Ball Z 1-2.
Yo, your guy's gonna get it to us, right?
You mean she? Yeah, she has.
Well, I wasn't gonna say she. I knew it was a she, but I was just gonna say your guy.
My friend, she's gotten me my stuff. That's why I prioritize things like, I get where people are coming from. They have lives, they have kids, they have whatever. It's great. I understand that, but don't wait too much because you do regret. Sometimes you do regret, buying things like Legacy Titanis is like $500 now. I get where you guys are coming from.
That
but
happens.
There's always communities to help.
So, when Power Rangers Zords become unavailable, their prices explode.
Oh yeah, like Overdrive Megazord. Well, we have Jason Bischoff at the home with Bandai, with Sublime Brands, and he's technically taking over for Greg in a way for Bandai, where he shows a lot of things coming out.
He's our contact point.
He's pretty much our contact point. I talked to him at Comic-Con. It's great meeting the guy. He actually knows one of my friends from Bluefin Thomas Nations, which is really hilarious that they met. And I told Jason, you're doing a great job of what you're doing. He actually. He's a big fan of Power Rangers. I'm surprised that he left Blizzard for this. I am really surprised with Blizzard having Overwatch. I really am surprised. But it's great. I love for what the Legacy line is now, the Metallic Wave. It is a bit of a FU to us. I will say that it is a big FU because I do want regular weapons. Figure Arts already screwed up the Blue Ranger with having short ass lances.
But nevertheless, though, like I said, we all see like there's issues. It's not just the company. It's not just distribution. It is the fandom. It's all the things that are screwing it up. Unlike other production lines, like as Sound Up said earlier, there is obviously Mattel, where there's 4 lines out yet, and people still don't know when the hell they're coming. Or Diamond Select, as Darkon told me last night, canceling more figures, which made Sound Out want to kill Darkon. DC Collectibles, whatever. Okay.
Yeah, DC Collectibles is probably the worst toy company on the market because they announce and solicit up to 70, 80 figures a year. Then pretty much 90% of them get delayed, and 40% of that gets canceled before it comes out because they don't hit pre-order numbers because people don't pre-order things through comic shops very often.
Now the thing about comic shops, I know that a lot of places have, what I really like what Bandai is doing though is that they're branching more to comic shops and local stores instead of just having it at main retailers like Target, Walmart, Toys R Us, and whatever. I really like that they're branching out to other places as well. It makes the brand more knowledgeable, which is great. And I also realized that I don't know if you guys noticed, but the Power Ranger brand has been like pretty much gone to other places besides just Bandai. Like if Funko Pop has Power Ranger stuff now, and like what else? There's
Loyal Subjects.
Yeah, the Loyal Subjects has one too. It's like I like that Bandai, the Saban's branching out the series to like other things besides just figures, which is a really good thing. I like having mugs of Power Rangers and like having shirts. I love seeing that. It's always fun to see like.
I remember back in the day, the old Power Rangers spaghetti and meatballs, Power Rangers macaroni and cheese,
yeah,
Power Rangers granola bar.
I mean, it's great. It's great seeing that. Now the brand, like every company's branching out to like other things now, just besides just sticking to like, I only have this license to this brand, no one else is gonna have it. But now it's like everywhere has it, which is a good thing, which I really really like. It makes it more unique as a brand. It's not like we just notice for figure. You notice for the movies. You notice for like I think in Asia or somewhere when the Power Rangers movie came out, they had like. If you bought a large cup, you get like a cup holder of like the red and pink Ranger or something like that. That was really interesting to see.
Yeah, but like I said, it takes a lot of shit to go on, to get a good toy line. You got to be, faithful to it. You still have to, as a fan, you got to be faithful to it. You should have expectations. You shouldn't be forcing expectations. Like, I think there's only one series that I know that really forces a lot of expectations other than Transformers, and that was originally He-Man, but He-Man practically got all the toys they've ever wanted now, so they can't complain anymore.
But it was all direct market sales.
Oh, I know. That's the funny thing.
And that's the thing. I think when it comes down to Bandai, what they don't seem to grasp is that as much as, you sell the legacy figures at Walmart, Target, Toys R Us, but they sell better at Walgreens and GameStop and comic shops and online retailers, because I think that Power Rangers is a niche market, and a collector's line based on Power Rangers can be successful as long as you make sure people are getting a good value. You make the figures cool enough that non-fans will check them out just as a cool action figure thing. And then you make sure that the figures are available at regular intervals. Because when you have to deal with retail, there's a lot of big problems with big box retailers. And honestly, I think it'd be better if the Legacy line were to just focus on smaller production runs and go through comic shops, go through online retailers better, go through, Walgreens even. Because Diamond Select with their Kingdom Hearts line, they're pretty much going through comic shops and Walgreens. You got to get, I think, a tighter market share on that niche market, and the people that are more likely going to remember the seasons that aren't Mighty Morphin and whatever the current series is. And trying to put Ninja Steel into the line just to try to get kids to get into Legacy isn't going to work, because no matter what world we live in, I don't think parents are going to buy their kids $20 Power Rangers figures when there's $10 ones available that work perfectly just as fine.
I think they're trying to gamble on it, which I could say it could work and it could not work. For me, I'm more like, it's still a double-edged sword. If it works, great. But then at the same time, it might backfire because, like you said, it's a kid's line and parents won't really pay that much for figures. Some parents might, because some parents, I've seen a 7-year-old kid buy like figures from Image Anime. The mother was like, "What do you want?" He's like, "I want these two." Like, it was a Gokai Christmas or something else, and I'm like, this kid's like 7 years old. What the hell? And like the mother just say, "Here's the credit card, just pay." And I'm like, what world am I living in that I just saw that happen? Like, it's one of those random occasions that you'll see that. But I feel like I see where Saban and Bandai are trying to entertain to, but at the same time, it's like it can go both ways.
Yeah, like we've been noticing, at least with Ninja Steel's ratings, that they're trying to get the younger audience back, but they're excommunicating their older audience at the same time. They're like, "Oh, we want the younger crowd, but we also want the older crowd, but we don't really give a fuck as much about you guys because we're giving you the toys that you want, but you don't have to watch the show anymore." And it's like, no, we want to actually watch the show too. They're like, "But you guys like Sentai. Why can't we like both?" Oh, you guys want to like both?
Some people are like, "I'm only a Sentai purist. I'm a Power Ranger purist." Sometimes I did actually, when I was talking to Tony, one of the people that he told me was that there's a guy that works at Bandai America. He's a Japanese guy. Funny thing is that he likes Power Rangers more than Sentai, which threw me off so much.
I remember that. I remember the night you found that out. You were like, "Yo, Wheelz, I need to tell you something. This is probably gonna blow your mind." And I was like, "Okay." There's a guy at Bandai, and I'm like, "All right." He's Japanese. I'm like, "All right." He thinks Power Rangers better more. And I'm like, "Okay, rewind."
Yeah, like legitimately, he's like, he watches Power Rangers and Sentai, but he likes Power Rangers more. I'm like, am I living in a dream right now, Tony? Like, did you just say that? He's like, yeah. I'm like, that's shocking. But then again, at the same time, in a way, I'm like, wait, that technically would be the vice versa for us, because we like, a lot of people, some of us like Sentai more than the Power Rangers series, but then at the same time, it goes both ways, because in Japan, Sentai, they probably watch Sentai like hundreds and hundreds of times, where when it's Power Rangers, like, it's different. I'm like, okay, I can see a little bit of that. It was really shocking, the fact that he likes Power Rangers more than Sentai. I'm like, that is really interesting to see.
Yeah, I like both for different reasons.
Yeah, so do I, but I feel like the problem is nowadays they just don't care to keep it in a general audience, you know what I'm saying, where kids can enjoy it, teens can enjoy it, adults can enjoy it.
So it's like, it's pretty much they have to find a foundation where it's like,
yeah,
we do care for all of you guys. You know, we have have like a subcategory for like the older fans, the
Yeah.
legacy line. Then we have like the general fans that just like Power Rangers and they'll buy it. They have to find like a balance where it's
Yeah, I
like
feel like that is the issue. Is that there you have the guys that are like the true production, the politicking with Saban and the studio. Then you have the company producing the toys for him, and then you have the negotiations between okay, we have to go to the general audience that wants the new yearly product, but then we're also making a line for our faithful fans, and our faithful fans are a little bit more vocal, like any series has, your diehards, and they just don't know to approach it correctly. And I feel like they need to work on it. Like, it's good that they've been working on it, but I feel like in the regards of how they're focusing on to communicate with the fandom, it became a double-edged sword indefinitely, like in their first couple of trials. It's not like where Bandai Tamashii was opening up, oh hey, we're gonna create a English site so you guys can order off our exclusive webpage, but then because of copyright sales in North America, we can't put up a lot of the good shit that you North Americans can actually buy with us because of licensing due to Power Rangers, Saban, Funimation, Viz, and other stuff that you can't, pre-order this stuff, so we only give you like a lackluster assortment that, is disappointing. So it's like that's a big time failure because they don't go into consideration of the legalities for Bandai Tamashii when they're trying to open up to us. But when you're dealing with the actual like home audience, the home market, the home office for that, region, and you're still getting it wrong, you gotta try harder. You really do. And it's not one party's fault. It's everyone's fault at this point. It really is. And
Power Rangers has this fractured problem right now. They basically said, like, okay, so the TV show and the basic toy line are for the kids. The Legacy line and the Boom Comics and the Twitch RPG, that's for the adult fans. And then the movie is for the general population that remembers MMPR and the teen crowd. It's like, why can't we just have it where everything can work for everybody? Like, why does Power Rangers need to have multiple different offshoots to appeal to
like it's like a diversity area where it's like one side says this side, another says this side, another says this side, another says this side, and it was like all mixture of everything in one time.
Like, here's the thing. If you look at Power Rangers from the past, you have something like seasons like Power Rangers Lost Galaxy or Lightspeed Rescue or Wild Force or Time Force. That era, they had this balance where the shows were kid-friendly, but they had ongoing plot lines so the older fans could enjoy something from it. And the toy lines had a mix of really high-quality Megazords and good action figures that would be good playthings for kids, but also good things to collect for adults. So you were able to appeal to that wide market.
You were able to do, like, you're killing two birds in a stone pretty much, because you have the normal side with kids and everything, but then you got like the older fans that watch, they're like, oh, the toys are still cool. I like this figure. I'm gonna buy it. But then they kept the quality up. But then they kept everything that you wanted as a toy when you were still a kid watching Mighty Morphin, but they didn't really do much, to change it.
Yeah,
basically, they didn't stretch themselves too thin. They just focused on making the show as good as it could be and the toy line as good as it could be. And those two things would cover everybody.
So guys, can I ask you guys a favor? Since it's like almost 2 hours since we did this episode, I might have to split this episode in half, but I'll do like special leeways for people to know where the hell's going on and why we had to clip it in 2 episodes. Because like my rule of thumb is I don't like dragging on an episode more than like an hour 30. So like I said, this is something we can always come back to talk about again. And anyways, let's wrap this up now. Deca, tell people how people can find you on social media so we can wrap up the show.
Just follow me on Twitter, DecaBlue25. I'm always just there randomly posting crap.
And if people want to hear more about us just bitching, complaining, discussing our thoughts on Power Rangers and Saban and stuff, we will do another probably hangout another time. Who knows? Like, we probably are just going to leave the recorder on and just edit and cut up this entire dialogue depending on how long we choose to go. So you never know. There might be multiple installments. Sound Out, give your plugs.
I'm on YouTube as Sound Out 12. Haven't made videos in a while, but I actually do have some videos planned to be going up in the coming weeks. I'm kind of going to just try to do some fun stuff that I feel like doing. So look forward to that, and I'm on Twitter at SoundOut12.
All right, I am Wheelchair21 on Twitter. I am TaJa_Doyle on Instagram, and I also have a Facebook page for Wheelchair21, so you can check me out there. As for Hero Club, you can find out everything you need to know in our outro. We'll see you all next time, and you know what? Peace out, enjoy your toys, support Bandai's Legacy line if you're a Power Ranger fan or a Super Sentai fan, because that's the closest thing you're ever going to get to, having, Power Ranger figure arts or Sentai figure arts ever again, since Tamashii ain't bringing that shit back ever, it seems like. Ever.
Probably not, considering how sales went.
Yeah, so we'll see you all next time, and thanks again, Deca Blue, for joining us.
Hey, it's Wheelchair21, and thanks again for listening to an all-new episode of Los Ingobernables de Tokusatsu. If you want to hear more content or see more content from the Hero Club YouTube channel, we're going to need you to subscribe, like, comment with some feedback, and share this channel with a friend. We also would like you to check out our website, hero-club.com, and follow us on various social media outlets just by looking up Hero Club for Life, as well as the stores you see are where we shop. Anyways, thanks again, and we'll see you all next time.